Welcome to Dynamite Delight. Now, before I get started, if you see me blink a lot and I seem to clear my throat, I got bad allergies. I went out earlier to go shop, and literally, as I'm walking, I went across a tree that just shot a whole bunch of pollen in my face. It was bad. So I took my medicine, so I'm still kind of hoarse and my eyes are itchy. So if I'm blinking and I cough a little bit, I'm fine. This just happens when my allergies are up. And it's no fun, I'm telling you. I'm the type of person that just has bad allergies all year round from either dust, dirt, or pollen. And there's nothing I can do even when I take a lot of medicine unless I want to sleep. And I didn't want to sleep because I didn't want to miss this Dynamite. And if you see my title, you know I got a lot to talk about. So let's go through this show. There's a lot here. And I want to make this clear. This was not a bad show. But you're not 100% here for knowing if AEW was really good. You know, usually they put on decent shows to good shows. And a lot of times great shows. But there's a little bit more here. So let's go through this. Brian Cage versus Hangman Page. The Cage versus the Page. Should be a little more than that. I'm going to give it to you like this. Seeing Hangman Page get attacked before the match, so Brian Cage could have a better opportunity to beat him, didn't fill me with a lot of joy. Look, Hangman Page is doing very well. And it's understandable why they did this, because they wanted to protect him. They just don't want him to lose in a clean way. It's understandable. No problem. But this is Brian Cage, where they kind of teased him getting respect to Sting, where you would think, well, why did they just drop it? Because that's what it really comes down to. They had something going with Sting and Darby Allin. You have Brian Cage showing respect to Sting, where you would think, well, maybe he's going to break away from Team Taz. And Team Taz had their moment with, well, I'm not going to do any images of this entire thing. But when it really comes down to it, when you see Christian Cage, and you see him dealing with Taz, and he talks about how he got his butt kicked by Powerhouse Hodge, no problem. Seeing that he's trying to teach these guys is no problem. He has no problem going through all of them and teaching them a lesson, because Taz is just trying to regain what he can't have, like basically a Christian Cage. He can't go back in the ring. His neck is too badly damaged. That's the reason why he's doing what he's doing, by basically Christian Cage saying what he's saying. So you wonder where they're going now when it comes to Brian Cage. Because you thought he was going to leave Team Taz because of Sting. Now is he going to leave Team Taz because of Christian Cage? Sooner or later, because he's already gone through Powerhouse Hobb. He's going to go through Hook. He is going to definitely go through Brian Cage. It's going to happen. Because he's already gone through Starks. He's already gone through Powerhouse Hodge. He's going to go through Taz's son. He's going to go through Brian Cage. Does this mean Brian Cage is going to break away? Because Brian Cage will see something. That's going to be a question. The bird cage, that's what I think should be. Or the bird in the cage. Whatever you want to call them. The caged animals. Whatever you want to call these two. If you are going to use Brian Cage with Christian Cage, you got to use the name, maybe the Cages. Or they're in a cage. Whatever. Let's just hope it means something. I'm just saying. And going back to Brian Cage, and I just don't agree that it's Brian Cage who has to win that way, because he doesn't need it. That's just me. Tell me below. Now, the Sabin Bros versus the Young Bucks. This was an interesting match. You don't normally see brother teams together often. And particularly a brother team that rarely ever tags. And that's Matt Sydal and his brother, Mike. You don't see them tag often. From what I understand, they rarely ever tag. Maybe in the independents away from AEW and WWE, but they generally don't tag together. Now they are. And it's a very interesting dynamic between the Sydal brothers. Now you see the Young Bucks, who have changed their personality a little bit. Because normally the Young Bucks, when they go in the ring, they are very good. Not everyone liked them because they are considered spot monkeys. Like when it comes to the Sleg Daddy and Off the Road Show Central, I'm not ousting him. It's just how he sees it. Because I do agree with him in most cases. The Young Bucks, if they don't go from spot to spot to spot and be more methodical or take their time with it, it is way more enjoyable because you get time to really embrace what those spots are instead of just seeing a ton of spots and not getting anything out of it. So in this situation, when they're dealing with the Seidel brothers, that's exactly what we get. They act more brash, they act more attitudey, they act more show-offish, and they're being more methodical about it. Yes, they're still doing the spots, but they're giving pauses like Pac. Pac is still my most favorite wrestler. It's not because he can just do all the spots. He's a bastard for a reason, because he doesn't rush all the time in his match. He takes his time sometimes, and most of the time, when he takes his time, it is rough. He's vicious, and that's what I love about him. That, and he doesn't play around. He just lets you know, I'm going to kick your ass. But anyway, you see this. You see the Young Bucks win, and I didn't expect them to lose against the Seidel brothers, who was going to get a number one contender shot. If they got it, then the ranking system is a major problem for AEW. Because they limit themselves like this, it's hurting them in a certain respect. But because it's one of the things that brought them to the table and what people really want anyway, at least a good majority of them, they have to go with it. So they got to find a balance. They're not always going to let somebody win. And that's fine, as long as it's not done constantly. Now, I think the last time they did this was 2 or 3 or 4 months ago. No, 3 or 4 months ago, the last time they did this. I kind of wish they would do this maybe once or twice a year. I know they're saying a lot because they really do need something to go against what's going on with the ranking system. But a lot of times, every 5 to 6 months is much better than every 2 or 3 months. I'm just saying. We got Jade Cargill saying again, people want me. Managers want me. That is Vicky Guerrero. That is Matt Hardy. And she knows they're going to take a percentage, and she ain't letting nobody take her scratch. I am a bitch. I am that bitch. No one's getting what I want. That's what she's saying. And I'm agreeing with these vignettes. You want to make sure that she's used sparingly. She is the biggest woman in the company right now. The biggest. If Awesome Kong was there, I wish Awesome Kong was there. I don't know if she's working in the back. You guys can tell me below. Either she's working in the back, or there was a situation where she's not with the company right now, but she's still being advertised as being part of the company when you look at the roster. 1, I hope she's alright. 2, I really miss her and I wish she would come back because we need it. Oh, my eyes are itchy. Woo! I told you that pollen really screwed me up. It screwed me up. Even when I took my medicine, I'm still messed up. Oh, but I did see some bunnies outside. Somebody decided to take their pet bunnies and put them outside in a cage under a tree. That was kind of cool. Now, we got the Pinnacle and the parlay of the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. Was this a good segment? Yes, it was. Would people think it's long-winded? Yes. Yes, they would think it's long-winded. Yes, they would really consider this long-winded. They are the premier factions in the company. All the other factions are just a mess. These are the only 2 that make the best sense to be there next to the Nightmare Factory. No, the Nightmare Family, not Factory. I'm kind of combining what will come next. But was it a good segment? Yes. Santana talked well. Sammy Guevara, I believe, talked the best. The way he was talking, I do believe he talked the best. Spears talking to, not Santana, but Sammy Guevara, making it very clear, where have you been? Have you even done anything? When we get you in the ring of blood and dust, all these people know how to bleed, so you ain't going to stand a chance. And Sammy Guevara really was very eloquent. He says, I don't care. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to take you out. You think I'm dangerous now? Wait until you see me inside the ring. He doesn't say it like that, but that's what it was relayed. MJF is one of the talkers of the industry. He may not be the talker, but he is one of the talkers. Next is Samoa Joe. Next is CM Punk if he ever comes back to wrestling. And, well, you really could say a lot about Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt is a damn good talker. But this is what we got. No fighting, but everything itches. But you can see clearly that they are building into Blood and Guts next week. And I thought it was going to be a pay-per-view Blood and Guts, but it is not. It is just a regular Dynamite. It's just themed. I hate themed. I hate themed. It's just me. You guys tell me below. Orange Cassidy against Pentagon Jr. or Penta. They're in my face. Let me put it to you like this, guys. You see two guys that have great ability in the ring. And they told a decent story. This is one problem. Now, Alex, the guy who is the interpreter for Pentagon Jr., I said I'm glad he's there. He adds something, and that is true. He interprets for him, and he covers for him, and he tries to protect him. But I had to think about what JD had talked about, not liking him. Me personally, I'm alright with him. But if I had to choose between him and Thea Trinidad, here he is. Here she is. He is nothing compared to Zelina Vega Trinidad. I really wish when her time is up, when she's ready to wrestle again, she does go to AEW. Now, I have my thought about that. I might actually maybe I should do a Gump report on her, on Thea Trinidad, where she's going to go. I think that's what I'm going to record after this. But I do believe she would be really good there right now if she was there. Was it a great match? Yes. And who won? Penta. I believe Penta won. I'm kind of confused about something though. Why wasn't Statlander there? It would have been good to have Statlander by a Orange Cassidy side, not Trent? What does the question mark for Trent mean? Guys, I don't remember if Trent in real life has a wife. I don't know if he does. I forgot. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But what does the question mark mean? It makes you wonder about his sexual orientation. If someone's doing something like that, like Prince or something. He's not Prince. If he was like Hudson, Joseph Hudson, and became the question mark, that would be interesting. But he's Trent? I don't get it. That's just me, you guys. Tell me below. Now I will go to Statlander. Statlander versus Penelope Forbes. Both women are beautiful. Both women wrestle very well. I mean, well, let's make it clear. This is Statlander. This is Penelope Forbes. She is like this. Penelope Forbes and Statlander. There is a difference. You can see it. Statlander is a far superior wrestler than Penelope Forbes. But it doesn't mean Penelope Forbes is a bad wrestler. She's not. She's not a bad wrestler. She's actually pretty good. Now, when it comes down to it, Statlander did win and booped the nose of a Penelope Forbes. And you wonder how far they're going to go with Statlander in Best Friends. And will Orange Cassidy and Statlander be best friends? Because why wasn't it Trent who came out with Statlander? Why wasn't it Chuck that came out with Statlander? Why was it Orange Cassidy? It's a good question, isn't it? Now, almost forgot. When it comes to the Bucks, SCU came out. And when it came down to it, they made it very clear. They are the number one contenders right now. Because now it's done. And they made it very clear. Let me give it to you like this. Chris Daniels said simply, I was looking forward to going up against my best friends. But now seeing what you are, I don't know who you are. You're not my best friend. You're nothing but arrogant pricks. And I'm coming for you. And when it comes to Kaz, he says, this is our chance. We've said it already. If we ever lose, we're breaking up as a tag team and never tagging again. This is it. We are coming for you. So the question is going to be, when will SCU go after those titles? Will it be I don't think it's going to be a Blood Guts, but it's going to be at some future show or pay-per-view. I think it should be a pay-per-view. It should not be a show. That's just me, guys. Tell me below. Now, what do we got here? I'm confused when it comes to the Nightmare Factory, which is now known as the Factory, versus the Nightmare Family, which I just called them the Family. The Factory versus the Family. And here's the thing. Go made the match the way it was at the end. He basically whacks everybody in the stomach with a gut punch. And they basically win the Factory. And then, first, coming out in the Nightmare Family's ride, which is their bus, you wonder what's going on. Why would they bring out the Cody Rhodes bus? And because once the match was over, he got attacked. And this is QT Marshall by the Gun Club, by Billy Gunn's sons. He had to run for it, and he was heading towards the bus. And before I even saw Cody in the window, I said, okay, who's in the bus? It's got to be somebody. And it's now Cody. The question's going to be now, how far are they going to go with Cody and QT Marshall? Do I actually want to see it? No. Here's the thing, guys. The Factory should not be a faction, because it's a faction. You got Colorado, who is a monster. The guy, you know who he reminds me of? The Ultimate Warrior, just with a lot of hair. He reminds me of the Ultimate Warrior. That's just me. He reminds me of him. And he should be on his own with a manager. That's just how I feel about it. But seeing this just does not, I'm not interested in the Factory versus the Family. I'm just not. Because this is 9 factions deep into AEW, and I don't want it. I don't want 9 factions in this company. I don't know why. But this is just me. You guys tell me below. And, Miro destroys Chris Sabian. It had to happen. But then he says, I forgive you, even though he destroys him. I knew it was coming, that he had to attack him and destroy him. I just think that he should have a match with him, wipe him out, and then move on. Because that is the one thing he needs to tie up. He's acting as a gamer who's a wrestler. Now he has to go away from being a gamer wrestler into being a wrestler that could be a threat to Darby Allin or to Kenny Omega. That's just me. You guys tell me below. Final match of the night, and I'm sure I'm missing stuff. I'm sorry if I am. Darby Allin versus 10. Now, they had a nice video package of 10 talking about Brody Lee, saying that he handpicked him, he gave him a mask, and he believed in me. It was actually nice to see. And the best thing that I saw was no -1. That's the one thing I'm hoping does not happen often. Leave -1 away and only use him very rarely. Bring him out in pay-per-views. Or do it on Be the Elite. On the YouTube channel, not on Dynamite. Because that's just not right. It feels like exploitation of a kid that is still mourning the death of his father. I don't agree with it. But it's just me. But that's just how I feel about it. I know he's not being exploited. And I'm making this... I want to make this clear to anyone who thinks I'm being like that. I don't believe Tony Khan would ever put Brody Lee's son in that position where he just throw him on TV every day just to get a profit out of it. But let's be honest here. Even if the kid loves wrestling, and he will be a wrestler when he grows up, I just don't agree with him being on TV constantly. Once in a while, fine. Once every 4 or 5 months or 3 months, fine. But not every 2 or 3 weeks. That's what I don't agree with. I just don't believe it's the wisest thing to do. It's not good for him. And it does make some people feel like he's being exploited. Even though I know he's not. But it looks like it, guys. If he's seen enough, it will look like exploitation. Now, Darby Allin versus 10. Was this a good match? Yes, it was. Darby Allin doing exactly like he did last week versus Jungle Boy. He basically was willing to do whatever it took, even to cheat, to win. It ain't no lie. That's what he did. He did everything he could to win that match. even tearing Ten's mask and gouging at his eyes to try and win the match. Now, the reason that he still won the match but almost didn't was Ethan Page, as well as... I gotta go through with this, stay calm. Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky come out together, but Ethan messes over Derby before the match ended, but he still won. And then there was a beatdown. Then you got 10 coming out again, and then you got Archer trying to back up and trying to save Sting as well as Derby because both of them get attacked, and Sting gets a heel hook. I don't like Ethan Page. I don't like Scorpio Sky as a tag team. They should be singles. Why is Ethan Page, who broke away from the North, now, I don't agree with this. He should be on his own. He shouldn't be working with someone, particularly having been seen on Dark other than being in the rafters and not speaking much. I'm sorry. Now, here it is. We got nothing. When it comes down to it, what do we get? One very short segment in a, SUV with all of the Elite. Bucks, Brothers, Don, as well as Kenny himself. Did not talk about Rick Swann. Barely talked about the Impact titles. And making it very clear, only talking about who has been messing with him on AEW, which has been King and Moxley. That's it. Then we have, Nakazawa. I believe his name is not Nakazawa. I could be wrong. I haven't seen him in a while. Was going to fight against Kingston. Kingston said, no, I ain't doing it. I want Kenny. He beats up on Nakazawa, was about to break his ankle until Kenny came out. And then when Kenny was brought blindsided by Moxley and they were coming out, when he came out, he basically was taken into the ring just like Nakazawa was whooped in the ass in the ring. He was dragged to the ring. He was about to get his ankle broke until Don came and said, what do you want? And pretty much both of them said, we want a match with this son of a bitch and this tag along and a Nakazawa. That's it. That's all we got. And I know for a fact that many of my subscribers are now pretty pissed off. And I don't blame you. But as I said before, wait and see. Wait a couple of weeks. Let's check on Blood and Guts and the week after that. That's what I'm doing. Because I'm trying to not give them a pass. I'm not. Because I've said this very clearly. If they're doing this, they have not helped Impact at all. They deserve to get pooned by their own fans and Impact fans and fans of wrestling in general. Where has been the publicity for Impact Wrestling? Nowhere. Other than what's been going on on Impact Wrestling, very rarely they even talk about it on AEW. It's been mainly Impact has been sponsoring them. And pretty much, many people say it, and I can agree. Impact has been screwed. But as I keep repeating over and over again, no one has said much in my comments. There are some who do agree with me, but the majority of those have not stated the obvious. Impact caused this on themselves. Again, 9 different promotions. I think 8 or 9 different promotions. Because they've gone through a lot of them. And yes, on their pay-per-views, they have won their matches against the promotion. But when it comes down to and when they work with those promotions and they sponsor them on their show, nationally, whatever little national stretch they have, and the majority is their international presence, they gain 0. They gain nothing. And I can tell you this right now. Impact has gained nothing out of AEW at this moment. Other than now their title is on the AEW champion, and you wonder where they're going to gain something. Unless AEW sponsors Impact on TNT, like I said when Kenny first was going to go to Impact Wrestling, I said several things. 1, this is going to be good for Impact because this is a chance for them to get on a national network in America where they have a chance to finally get some exposure. because they barely had anything on Destination America. They have something now with Anthem, but not that much. Then they go to Access TV. They barely have anything with that, even though they got 120 million people there. They're not still known very well. What do they have? Maybe 700,000 or 800,000 people watch them, maybe 1 million, but it's still not the American market. Access TV is in Canada and internationally. It's not generally seen in America. So they still don't have a stretch in America. They still don't got it. And I hoped that this would be the beginning of something. Being seen on TNT, or at least being mentioned. Some of their wrestlers being seen on there. This was an opportunity for that. But nothing. Just the Good Brothers. Father Mitchell. That's it. Remember, Father Mitchell married Penelope Forbes and Chris Sabian. That's it. No one else has invaded AEW. No Rick Swann, no Moose, no Eddie Edwards. Nothing. No XXXL, no Rosemary, no Sue Young. You want me to keep going? I could easily keep going. You could have Madman Fulton. You could have, take a guess. Who would be very interesting to be working with Moxley? Wouldn't it have been interesting to see Sami Callihan team up with Moxley because they're both from Ohio and Ohio versus everything? Don't you think that would have been interesting? No. Nothing. So Impact, and I understand all my subscribers who are still angry about this. They saying Impact has gotten screwed here. Yes, I never said they weren't screwed. And I know you guys know I said this. But for those who have not seen this before and are hearing it, I have said from the beginning when Kenny went to Impact that this would be good. But Impact had to do this correctly. And guess what? They haven't. They again. Because if no one's ever seen this video, if you're a new person watching me, how you doing? I've said Impact has been screwed multiple times because they did it on themselves. They went through, I forgot most of them. There is BCW, Crash, AAA, Pro Wrestling Noah, WrestleGate, I believe. No, not WrestleGate. What is it called? Dragon Gate Wrestling. Sorry, there's a lot of them. Now New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now AEW. Now House of Glory. There's been nothing to gain on those places. Not just because they don't have very big reach, but they don't contribute to Impact Wrestling. They don't got anything for them. Every time when they work with someone, they don't gain anything. Working with House of Glory here in New York, what did they gain working with House of Glory? Yes, they gave them more of an exposure, but it didn't help Impact. The most you got out of it was Santana Ortiz, and now they're gone to AEW. Where do you gain anything from Dragon Gate Wrestling? Nothing. The only one you haven't worked with much is ROH. And if they work with ROH, do you actually think they're going to get anything? I think they also work with Lucha Underground as well. I might be wrong, but I do believe they might have worked with Lucha Underground briefly. And they didn't gain anything there either. They worked with so many different promotions and gained zero. So now we're going to wait at least 2 more weeks. I'm saying it right now. Wait a couple more weeks. Waiting after Blood and Guts. Another week after that. And if still nothing happens the week after that, we can chew them out. Every episode of AEW that I do. Because I'll chew their asses out. You can remind me if I forget. But it's just me. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.